Okay, so when you're dealing with a new client, there are several things that you're going to be wanting to address. We're going to start with symptoms. We want to assess the patient's symptoms. What are some general areas of symptomatology that we're going to be looking at for each patient? Yes, Tyler?
I'd take a look at the intensity, probably.
Intensity, great. What's something else?
The timing would be important.
The timing, great. That would be when it started, how long it's been going. What else?
I'd also be interested in the level of the distress that symptom is causing.
Perfect, Tyler. These are great that you're coming up with right off the bat. Okay, and what else?
The quality, how intense that symptom is.
Great. So when you're looking at these 4 parts of symptoms, how are some ways that these might interact? Can you see that maybe if someone's having a high level of distress about their pain, then they're also going to be having an increase in intensity of that pain. So all 4 of these parts can interact with one another. Also, symptoms generally, you don't usually have just a unidimensional symptom. Usually there's more than one, and they all overlap and work together and around each other. So you can see how maybe a symptom of pain could affect someone's fatigue, another symptom, making the fatigue more. And maybe if someone's feeling more fatigue, they might also feel more pain. So these are the ways that these symptomatologies are overlapping. You can't just look at them in isolation. There are also some influencing factors for each of these symptoms and the ways that we view them. And the different subheadings for influencing factors, the first is physiologic. So a physiological influencing factor for symptomatology could be the trauma for the particular symptom or also the pathology. The second subheading is psychological. So this could be anxiety or depression. If someone's feeling anxious, then studies have shown that it's going to increase the amount of pain that they're perceiving with their particular symptom. And the last is situational. And there are 2 different types of situational. First is environmental. So if something's going on with maybe their living conditions, then this is going to affect their symptomatology, correct? And the second is social. What are some different types? What do I mean by social influencing factors? Victoria?
Things like employment.
Employment, yes. What else?
Social status.
Social status, great.
Social support.
Social support.
Marital status.
Marital status.
And then access to public health care.
Access to health care. My handwriting's getting bad. Okay, so if someone is has a lot of social support, then that might ease the way that they're experiencing their symptoms. Is that correct? So you can see how these influencing factors are going to affect the symptoms. After the symptoms comes consequences. These are the ways that these symptoms are manifesting in each of the lives of the patient. So the first type of consequence that we might see is functional consequences. And these would be things like physical activity, activities of daily living. So maybe someone's symptom, like a broken leg, might be affecting the way that they are able to physically interact with their environment. Also ADLs. We've got social interactions. So if someone's in a lot of pain, sometimes they can feel really isolated, and so that may be one way that the symptom is manifesting. And then lastly, there's role performance. So this may be someone's maybe primary role of being a wife, a mother, a daughter, maybe in their job, how that's going to be affected by their symptomatology. And then the second type, after functional here, is cognitive. And here we're going to be looking at problem solving. So this is going to be ways that the symptoms are negatively affecting someone's cognitive status. Maybe how well they're thinking, how clearly they're thinking, and also concentrating. You know, have any of you ever been in pain and it's tough to concentrate? When you have all these things to worry about, you can be really grouchy too. That's how I am. So anyway, these are ways that the symptoms are going to be manifested in the client in this way. And when I originally came up with this theory, this was sort of how we left it. We didn't really leave much overlapping in any way other than the influencing factors influence the symptoms, which then influence the consequences. But the way that I think about it now is that these are all overlapping. There's a lot of overlap. So for instance, if someone is having a lot of pain, maybe it would affect their physical activity, like we were talking about. And if someone really has a decrease in the amount of physical activity, then they're also going to be experiencing more pain. So that's one way that the influence, like the consequences of the symptoms, can also double back and do another feedback loop back into the symptoms. Also, if someone has a lot of pain, maybe this might affect their role performance. Can you guys think of any ways that maybe this pain might influence someone's role performance? Yes, Katie. Nutrition, absolutely. So if someone is maybe the person who does a lot of cooking in the house, then their nutritional status might go down because they're not able to do that as well. What else do you think might, if someone has decreased role performance?
Anxiety or depression?
Sure, absolutely. They could have some anxiety and depression. Oh, so these are all influencing factors that are coming on over here. So anxiety and depression would be under psychological influencing factors. So you can see someone has pain, it affects their role performance, and that is affecting their physiological and their psychological state. What else, Katie? Is there anything else you can think of in role performance changes?
For situational, it could be jobless or social support, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe someone's not able to get to their job, and so they lose their job. Or maybe they count on a certain type of social support that they're not able to get now because their role has changed. Great, good options. Another way that these can also affect each other is that maybe there's a physiological influencing factor, like, for instance, if a woman's giving birth, maybe the type of delivery she gives, maybe whether it's a vaginal delivery or a C-section, that may affect her level of fatigue here in the symptoms. And it could also affect her role performance, maybe in how other maternal behavior she ends up exhibiting. So you can see that these are all really interactive. They all double back on one another, and you cannot view one in isolation with the others.